Hey guys, Cartoon97 again, this time with a review of the 1/100 scale Dahgi Iris from the F91 movie. And we're going to start this time by having a look at the cover art. And look at that! It's the commanding mobile suit of the steampunk nightmare army. That's really kick-ass. You don't see a lot of box arts quite like this. Those eyes are so menacing. This is really cool, and all those spikes. It's really gives a sweet steampunk feel to it. So let's have a look at the colors, and while we're at it, here we have the color charts and what you have to paint it, and you'll immediately see that you do have to do quite some painting because this model only comes molded in a dark green, light gray for the normal plastic, and then darker gray for the polycap plastic. So don't worry, these hoses here and there are polycap, so they are bendable. And those are all the colors you get, meaning you see all that very light sandy brown on the legs, on the shield, on the lower arms. All have to paint that, and you should even paint the inside of the top that color, then the inside of these side ones have to be painted gray, the inside of this has to be painted blue. These three, I think those are sensors too, have to be painted blue, then red on the decoration here. Also some extra additional red on the head. Next to the mohawk has to be painted red as well, so you will have to do quite a bit of painting if you want it to look exactly like the box art. However, when you look at this, it's a very standard color scheme, which actually looks good straight out of the box. It's essentially the Gym Sniper's color scheme, so you might want to paint it, but it doesn't require paint to look good, and that's always nice. So now quick look of the stickers. You have one on top, one on the bottom here. Of course, a Crossbone Vanguard sticker here. Then one that wraps around the feet. Of course, also the other one. And then a giant one for the shield. Fortunately, if you like the paint, well, tough luck. You will have to use the sticker. Of course, I haven't applied yet because the shield technically requires paint, which I might do at some later point. And of course, to wrap up the stickers, we get these very nice Waterslide Decals. And while I was looking at it, I saw something fantastic. Here we get caution written with OU. I think the camera is picking it up. Yeah, written with OU. And here we have caution with AU. So you can write it correctly once, but you can't do it the other time. Yeah. Nice quality control guides, and then we have some other stickers with the usual caution. There's a thruster here. You might want to be careful. And like I said, it was a sensor unit after all, so that's probably going with that. Now articulation, of course, the first thing we all notice is those hoses are going to be in the way. Let's quickly look at the head. And oh yeah, the head also has a very cool clear blue plastic for the visor. Looks really good. Then the head goes up, down. It's on a hinge, so it doesn't wiggle around, but it will rotate around. But I do warn you, be careful for these ear spikes. The cool thing is you can still rotate them, but be careful. They do look like they could break very easily. Then the arms go up about that far, and then they will be dragged back down by the hoses. Of course, what you could always do is disconnect them, and it will rotate around all the way. But with the hoses connected, you're not going to get a lot. Let's try to get that back in. There we go. And down about that far. So those hoses really hinder the articulation, though of course at the time I don't think they could have done a lot more because yeah, it's part of the design of the mobile suit. Then the hands and the arms bent at the elbow at not quite 90 degrees, do rotate around Hands are on ball joint, so we'll wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. Then the hands are pretty much like the Wing G Gundam and Gundam X kits. You have the three lower fingers here separate as one thing, and then a separate trigger finger. So it's a crude version of the hands of the Wings G and X kits. And talking about wings, these wing things go up, down, and will also rotate around. For no apparent reason, but hey, they can do it. More rotation at the hip will actually turn around all the way if you force it a little bit at the back. I'm not going to do that right now. And then also turn out side to side, because I do think it scratches the plastic a little bit. So it can do it, I just don't recommend doing it. Side skirts go up about that far, then the legs go out that far. Unfortunately, they go out that far, but forwards movement, this is one solid piece. Not the greatest idea they ever had. So it goes forwards about that far. Then the back skid, I'm not sure if that's actual movement or if it's just that the connection isn't that secure, but I love the irony that the back skirt can move, but the front skirt's not. So it does go backwards. And if you put it at a bit of an angle so that you get it in between that gap there, it goes back all the way like that. And modern kits are pretty much the exact opposite. Well, not only modern kits, pretty much any kit has the exact opposite articulation. And the legs, about 45 degrees, I'd say. Yeah, no, it's like not quite, it's somewhere in between like 70 degrees of articulation. That's what we're going to say. But for one joint for this time, not too bad. Goes up a little bit, down a bit, forwards, backwards, side to side a bit, and we'll also rotate around. As far as articulation goes, it's not too bad. The only main problem really are these hoses here. But the other articulation, yeah, it's decent for the time. The legs could have been a bit more at the knees, but overall, I'm not complaining too much. Now we're getting into the accessories. Starting off with the beam saber, which is stored at the back here. Though unfortunately, this one is just for show. Don't get your hopes up, we're not going to get clear beams, because this is a dummy. There's no hole in there, though you could always try to drill a hole in there and give it one of the modern beams, but what we get instead is, you expected it, a toothpick. But hey, we're not complaining, this is an old kit, though I do find it funny that from this line, a lot of model kits have clear shields, but none of them have clear beams for their beam sabers, which is a little bit odd, but it is quite a nicely detailed sword. Fits in the hands rather nicely. No problems there. And once it's grasped it, not gonna fall out, so that's really good. Besides, we have the beam saber, so we of course also have the beam rifle. There we go. Once again, fits in the hand without any problem whatsoever. Also has a movable stock, goes up all the way like that, but it's not really that useful because of course we have that limited arm articulation, so unless you're going to force the arms, you won't be able to actually hold it in a shooting pose. You can hold it down like this, but because of course he can't hold his arms up enough, as you see, the kit just forces them down again, so that's the highest you're going to get. It's a little bit unfortunate that it doesn't utilize that neat gimmick there. Let's put that back, and then we're gonna move on to the final accessory we get, the shield. Though there's really not a lot to say about it. It's a slab of plastic in the most extreme sense of the word. It's quite literally a slab of plastic. with a great piece of plastic there. Pegs into both arms like this, and there you go. That's all the accessories you get. They're pretty basic, but those are frankly all the accessories you need. And hey, at least we're getting a beam saber, unlike with the heavy gun and the G cannon. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And as with all the F91 kits, the major selling point is the price. For 800 yen retail price, you're actually getting quite a nice bundle. It's got all the accessories you want, a beam rifle, beam saber, and a shield, so standard, nothing too special, but it works. Then you get the Waterslide Decals, and even though you have to do some painting, well, to make it look exactly like the manual, even though of course it looks good out of the box, if you take the price into account, it's a great little deal. And on top of it all, the model itself also looks really, really nice. And as far as Gundam kits goes, it's a pretty unique looking mobile suit. So I could definitely recommend it. If you like the look of this mobile suit, it's definitely worth picking up. It's really cheap, it's got some nice accessories, so it's pretty much the complete package. Then for some size comparison, because don't be fooled, it says 1/100 scale, but these guys are really, really small compared to the 1/144 scale Zaku 3, and these two are about the same size. So yeah. Next comparison is of course comparing him to a standard 1/100 scale. And as you see, these are really, really small. So one thing to keep into account, you aren't paying a lot, but you aren't getting a big guy either. So it still is a little bit, you get what you pay for. Now look, compare him to a standard size 1/144 scale. And as you see, it kind of gradually goes up. And now to wrap it up with some comparisons of the same timeline. The smallest guy here, the Denanzan, and it's not quite the smallest one, but other than Denanzan, this might just be one of the smallest F91 kits. The G cannon, these two are good contenders, depending on what you count. And finally, one of the bigger F91 kits, the heavy gun. And that's all for this review, and see you guys next time.